Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Junia Doan's Spark. I'm Junia Doan. Today, joining me is Doug Willett, president of the visualization and marketing company LunaTech 3D. Welcome, Doug. Doug, tell us all about LunaTech 3D.
We are a visualization marketing company. I started back in 2008. I started by creating a couple of 3D models related to my family history because I'm a big genealogist, and got to the point where I was modeling my entire downtown. And I thought this is a really cool way of telling a story visually about our downtown community. So I got contacted by Google. Said, hey, we've seen what you're doing in your area. We'd like to talk to you about how to, keep going with this. We're not offering you a job, but we like what you're doing. So I started working with them, and we started populating Google Earth together. I was one of, hundreds probably, but just actually thousands of people that were contributing 3D models to the landscape. And over time, we did a lot of we did a lot of 3D modeling. We got into doing virtual tours using Google Street View technology. So we were a trusted photographer for Google that we published tours to people's Google business listing. And then we became the drone company, and then we became the Matterport company. What we realized over time is, we are visual storytellers. It doesn't matter what the technology is. We always start with what is the story and what's the idea, what's the concept, what's the product you're trying to get across to other people. And then we'll back into technology in terms of, okay, this may be the best tool to tell the story. When I did the story up the Rotary Talk up in Midland, I was using a variety of technologies. I was telling kind of the Superman story, the history of the two teenagers who created Superman, and we did that with Google tours. We did it with aerial drone panoramic tour, views from the sky. We did it with 3D Matterport tours. We did it with video. We did it with pictures. It's how do you take all those different technologies and get them to play together in a single user experience that makes sense, and you're not forcing someone to jump around from, oh, if I want to see that video, I have to go to YouTube, but if I want to see that photo, I have to go to my Google Photos, or if I want to see this, I have to go somewhere else. How can you put that all together through one interface that kind of helps not only set the stage for the story, but maybe even add something a little bit to the story to give them, the user, more of an immersive experience about what they're learning about.
And I can speak to that because I was in the audience when you spoke to our morning Rotary here in Midland about Superman and who designed it and their lives. So I'm hoping we can work out where you give the program again for our audience. So worthwhile seeing. Anyway, what
Sure.
is your background?
I went to school for computer science went to Central Michigan, Fire Up Chips. And after that, I went as a programmer. I worked for the Electronic Data Systems, EDS, and worked for them as a programmer doing client-server applications for a number of years. And then I started working with the family business. I slowly, methodically got sucked back into the family business through my father, and he was running a chain of newspapers. So I helped him with that for a while, and then finally got to the point where I said, Dad, love you more than anything, but newspapers are not going to support my family going forward. And so I started my own company where we do the visualization services.
But there's some part of you that really likes the personal, or as you say, the story. It almost preceded that if you were doing family history, yes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about the story. I always tell people, we can use the technology to help kind of help set the stage and put the props on the stage, but that's not the whole story. That's just giving people a frame of reference about, okay, what goes on in this space? What is this all about? It's the personal aspect, and just because someone, I always tell people, just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you're doing a virtual tour or an interactive thing for your site, just because that's the latest technology, and you don't figure out a way to help tell your story using that technology, it's just cool technology, and that's all it is. So it's part of it when I work with clients is helping them, okay, yes, we can do these different, media play, these different technology plays for you. How is this going to help you put more butts in the seats if you're a theater, or, sell more product, off your store? Give people a more engaging experience of say, yeah, I really want to go there. I want to experience that in the real world. So that's what we do with my company.
I've noticed in myself a change in time perception
Hmm.
as a result of, you name it. But I get impatient now when I have to look at videos. I've been like, speed it up. What's the point?
Yep.
What is the what is the optimum for an introductory length that you think right now for an introductory of a town or a business? What attention span do people have? Working people have?
Yeah, sure. Probably 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, if you can't get them, I always tell people when I talk to about the virtual tours, if I can't get you the aha moment of I get it within 10 to 12 seconds, then this may be not the best fit for you, because that's about how much time you have in it's less than that in terms of getting someone's attention and then getting them to say, okay, tell me more you know so I do this little drill where I say, okay, give me 10 seconds. If I can't get you to the aha moment within 10 seconds, then let's stop the conversation. So I say, okay, the clock starts when you get to google.com. Okay, you ready? Yep, I'm there. Okay, go. Type in a name of a restaurant like E.G. Nick's, Plymouth, Michigan. I said, you see that little picture over on the right-hand side that immediately pops up? Yeah, I see that. I said, click on that. I said, okay, now are you standing in the middle of their restaurant and you're looking at their bar? Yep. I said, okay, now can you spin around and see what their restaurant looks like? Yep. Okay, that's it. You know, so it's people have a very short attention span. They want to be entertained. And how do you take educational content, turn it and make it entertaining, which they call edutainment. How do you get someone to teach them something, but keep their interest and keep them engaged?
So I hear you, but is once you're engaged in that 3 to 5 to 10 second initial, is then there also, I'm guessing, but I'm asking, is there a now step two time limit? Will they give you another 5 second, 10 second, 15 second? What have you learned?
It depends on the type of, what it is you're selling. If you're a small business owner and you've got a small store, you may not have aisles and aisles and aisles of product to sell. Maybe it's a service you're providing. So it's going to depend on, the business. But again, you want to be able to have something to get their attention and take them to the next step of the experience. Okay, now that you've got them in the space, what is it you can tell them about the space that's going to keep them engaged? And you get to the next level of, okay, yes, now they're engaged, they're spending enough time in here that they're clearly interested in about this. What are the call to actions that you can put in there? Like, okay, I want now pick up the phone, send us an email, click on something to let us know that you're still engaged with what we're selling.
How is this approach different from what other businesses are offering in the field?
In terms of like media,
I'm not sure. I'm hoping you'll teach me.
Okay. I mean, it's visualization and it's marketing. So like if someone says, we do a variety of different services, and if someone says, okay, well, I want a Google tour, can you do that? Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, can you do this? Can you do that? What we specialize in is the ability to bring a variety of technologies to the table to help them tell their story. So, and we don't do, SEM, search engine marketing, um, optimize your websites. We don't develop websites. I typically work with strategic partners that are, have that specialty. But what we do is we provide engaging content that we call it sticky content, that keeps people engaged and hopefully gets them to that next, level of experience that you're trying to drive them through.
And how do you help them with store development?
We'll typically sit down with them and talk about, again, who is your end customer? What is the story that you're trying to tell? And just like anything else, let's kind of storyboard that out of the different phases of, you know, exposure to an engagement to, call to action to actually, close a sale. So we will sit down with them and kind of go through the migration of what, here's typically what a user experience would be on your website. What do you want to have happen now? What do you want, what are the different phases that you want to, of your story that you want to get out to the customer?
Do you ever find that doing one of these actually repels business because now they've seen it, they don't want to do it?
I've had customers who've said to me, well, I don't want to do this because then if they see this, then there's no reason for them to call me. I'm like, okay, or I don't want to do this because then it gives people access to my store and everybody can see what I have to offer and someone could come in and rob me because they've seen what I have in my store. Okay, maybe this isn't for you, but I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole point of getting as much exposure to what you have to offer out there to the world as possible.
So I don't know if you work with young people or you went through it yourself, but social media and access to information is so much more pervasive than family, neighborhood, and school and church. What advice would you have to keep the human element, so to speak, in a world where technology is necessary and esteemed?
Yeah, it's all about the personal relationship. I mean, it's all about the face to face. Um, getting finding a way to get yourself into that technology in the middle of it. So again, if we're setting the stage for, okay, here's my beautiful showroom, that's nice, that doesn't tell me anything about you. Do I like you? Do I like what you're selling? People aren't going to buy something, on a personal basis, unless they like you first. So my advice to them always is let's get something in the middle of that technology that brings you into the equation because it is that personal touch.
What do you think people are interested that makes it personal?
They want to know that you have their best interest in mind, that you're interested in what, is this going to be the right product for them. Um, they just like that personal touch. It's again, technology is great, but it's not going to replace, people. I read a thing the other day talking about how, artificial intelligence is just going to replace so many jobs. I had to make a call the other day to the cable company, and their automated system. It was like you tolerate that for about 10 seconds, and you're like, nope, operator, representative. Just get me someone that I can talk to, that I can, tell them what my problem is, what my concern is, and then hopefully they can relate to me and they can help me solve my problem. So technology is great in helping people, but it's not going to replace people. And if people think it is going to replace people, then I think they're heading down the wrong path.
So I read in your bio we're all going to be wearing headsets soon, or at least comfortable with them. Is that what Zuckerberg is trying to promote? with this
Yeah, he
virtual
thinks we're
reality,
all
or
going to
not
we're
really?
all going to exist in the metaverse. And again, I think there are there's ways that that can be a benefit, but it's again, he's put too much technology in between people, and it becomes a major barrier to complete something. So there are going to be uses for the metaverse, and metascapes, and um, individual metascapes. But again, it's not going to replace the person to person interaction.
What I'm thinking is, do people need to be taught to relate after computerizing their life? Kind of
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
just could say personally, after the lockup because of the virus, I was comfortable at home. Oh, great, let's do this. I made a new life, da 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 da. And when I started to go out again, it felt really strange, different. Like I had to lay down a new habit when it wasn't a new habit. It was just a recollection of what some small part of my life I did before, but just being incarcerated, I noticed in myself. So I'm just posing the question: if you get a lot of technology, do you have to also self-monitor that, making sure that you're going to have or seek to have uh, relationships, as they call it?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the COVID was actually at the very beginning was really harmful to our business model. Quickly closed down like the rest of the world. But then over time, when people realized, hey, this technology can help me get more information quicker, then since then our business has been booming. I mean, it's we started kind of just on the marketing aspect of things, but it's all the different ways that technology can help the person to person interaction. It can help with training of individuals. It can help with management of vendors that are coming on site. It's a tool to be used between two people interacting with each other. It's not necessarily a technology that's just interacting with the end customer.
What would you say that, uh, or let me tell you my bias. I think we teach a lot of things to people inadvertently or purposefully, but I
Hmm.
don't know that we make an effort to teach them to listen and comprehend and therefore understand, even if you agree or disagree with the person. And I think I noticed in myself with technology, fine text. That's what my daughter likes to do. Text, text, but it has no depth. You can get it for a joke, you can get it for arrangements, but you can't tell the nuanced voice in the text the way, anyway,
Right,
I imagine. Young people will not say that. But my daughter told me the other day she doesn't talk to anybody on the phone. Well, that's not a good sign. I mean, they text
right.
all the time, but where's the anyway? I guess I'm asking you now. So, how would you like your business to be in, say, 5, 10 years? Can you see technically what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I see that, that what they call a digital twin of your business, a virtual a replica of your business that you can use to share with other people is going to be an integral part of, everyone's business. I heard a talk not too long ago. They talked about, back in, 75 years ago, if you didn't have a phone in your business, people say, what are you doing? Like, are you, you know, and by the 90s, if you didn't have a website, people would say to you, really, you're in business, but you don't have a website? They're saying that with the next generation of engagement with people, whether you call it Web 3.0 or whatever, it's basically, do you have a digital replica of your business that you can use for all kinds of different things? Again, to communicate with someone else, not to replace communication, but to help facilitate better communication between people.
Interesting. It's like you using one of those watermark. You photograph it and it tells you everything about what you need to know about the person, the business. Well, were you technical growing up? Were your parents? involved in anything like that?
I've always had that type of personality where I want to take the watch apart and see how it works, and so I've always had that like aspect of my personality where I want to, hey, that's a really nice watch. Can I see it for a minute? Do you mind if I take it apart? um, but I've always had a passion for technology. I've always had a passion for history. So those are all things that kind of factored into the direction that the business has gone over the past couple of years.
So I learned I have to, very early on when Apple II came out, and we had one for our daughter. You had to fill in, you learn to spell by filling in Hangman or something. My way of doing it wasn't their way. So I learned right away that it doesn't matter what my way is. What matters is I have to think like the person who programmed the issue. Are there any tips of when you're in the middle of not understanding anything to put your mindset into the programmer's mind?
Yeah, you have to be able to appeal to the different ways that people learn. Some people are primary visual learners. Some people are more, auditory is their primary sense. So you have, when you're planning your marketing, you have to appeal to all the different senses. Don't just make it nice, pretty pictures. Um, you know, ha- have audio that's in that so that they can listen to it and see it. If you can appeal to more senses, the better you are, the more likely you are to connect with them.
But you get along really well with people, don't you?
I'm pretty introverted. I'm the INTP type personality, and I is for introvert. But I think I can communicate decently with people. I'm also perfectly happy just communicating with technology, which is not as my wife will tell you, not always the greatest thing. But
How
I
did
think
you
I can do.
make yourself more interactive, less introverted on command?
Just push myself to be in more social settings. The technology, I used to always just like hand it off to someone else and say, okay, you go interact with that person. But you just have to push yourself, push the envelope and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and that's how anybody will learn.
And which helped you the most? Was it group things or one on one as you were
Probably
trying to
more
become
one-on-one.
more
Yeah,
outgoing?
more, yeah, probably more one-on-one, the ability to communicate directly with someone and kind of see what's sinking in and what's not. Then you can adjust, how you're interacting based on that.
Do you like listening better than talking?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And do you have a rich inside life?
Rich inside life.
Yeah, do you ponder about things
Oh,
other
I
than
spend more
tech?
time. I spend far too much time in my head. I spend more time in my head than anywhere else, and that's not always a good thing either.
Interesting. I'm an introvert too, and I, well, I wouldn't exactly say full, but there's a lot of me that's just very happy reading, and I find I can entertain myself really well,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
which is wonderful. But also, um, the importance of close friends is undeniable, and
absolutely.
for all kinds of ranges of activities. What were the values your family brought you up with?
Hard work. Um, you know, treat people like you want to be treated. Leave things better than the way you found them. Um, care about people. Care about what experience they're going through. Try to change your paradigm more often. Put yourself in their shoes, and try to have a better understanding of what they're going through.
Good for your parents. Those are wonderful values. And it's nice that you give them credit too. I will say, do you have children?
Yes, I have two.
And they're growing up in a different world. I always remember thinking when I was growing up that, well, it worked in my grandparents' time, but that was horse and buggy days, and now, it isn't. But then I found out that was the technology change of the day.
Yep.
But humans are human, at least in the American system. So I revere them and what I learned from them, which was not horse and buggy, but people and values. And I and accountability. My grandfather was head of a bank, and in the 30s, well thought of. He was out of town, and a rumor started the bank couldn't pay, not unlike, current thoughts. And so it failed. But he worked years, decades, to pay back every single person who lost the no insurance, that kind of thing, who lost money. And the reason I know that is in my lifetime, he was still paying, working and sending money uh, back. And I think that taught me that a very high level of responsibility is a way to live. Just take it on. Not everything is perfect, and not everything goes your way. Anyway, thank you for
That's for
being here
sure.
so much. We've learned a lot that introverts excel in technology and imagination, but in your case, you never forgot the importance of the story, as you say, and the human dimension of being trusted in what you do. And I celebrate that. Thank you. Go out and do something kind for someone you know and someone you don't know, and do it again every day. See you next time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Doug.
To contact Junia, send her an email at juniadonsthespark@gmail.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadonthespark.com. Thank you for joining us. See you next time on Junia Doan's The Spark.
Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.